Hello everyone, Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. Welcome to the Emirates Stadium. I was going to say quiet Emirates Stadium. It's not quiet at the moment. Quieter than it was about 20 minutes ago when the game ended here. Arsenal beating Southampton 3-1. Sitting here watching the Arsenal substitutes just out on the pitch, having their warm down. A few other invited guests, I would call them, probably down milling around the tunnel area, coming out and taking some photos after what has been a pretty dramatic day yet again at the Emirates. Another day against a team you thought Arsenal would beat relatively comfortably. That was certainly the expectation coming here that most people would have had. It didn't work out like that. Again, just as last week against Leicester, Arsenal had to dig themselves out of a bit of a hole. And they did it, and they got the 3 points. But yeah, they need to do things a little bit more easier, I would say, going forward in this one. It was an interesting game. It was a strange game. Obviously, Mikel Arteta chose to make some changes, perhaps more changes certainly than I was expecting. I thought he would do something at the back because of the absence of Ben White and Yuri Timber. I didn't think he would do anything in attack, but he did. He made quite significant changes. Gabriel Jesus came in, Raheem Sterling came in, so Leandro Trossard went out, and so did Gabriel Martinelli. I don't know, it's interesting because these players, they need minutes, don't they? Because obviously, and the performance that they both produced showed that they're still very, very rusty and they're not doing it and they're not at the level of the players who are regularly starting for Arsenal. But you kind of need these players to get minutes to try and get them into form. So it's a bit of a catch-22 situation. And, you know, Arsenal at home to Southampton. So you look at it and think, well, if you're going to rotate, this is a good chance to do it and a good opportunity for some of those players to come in, and you would hope maybe get a goal, get some confidence. Obviously, it didn't pan out like that. Jesus struggled, Raheem Sterling struggled, and they both went off in the second half. And when Trossard came on and Martinelli came on, Arsenal looked a much better team in an attacking sense. So I think there'll be a lot of focus on the changes and the performance of the players who did come in. And that's understandable. But you do have to look at it and think, when else are these players going to get minutes? How else are they going to play themselves into form if they're not given some chances? You know, I wouldn't have done it for this game. I would have started the same players going into national break. I would have kept with basically the same team that had beaten Leicester and that had beaten PSG. But I can kind of understand why Mikel did it. And the first half, I thought the way Arsenal started the first 5-10 minutes, they absolutely blitzed it, flew into Southampton. And you thought, my God, there's Southampton never going to be able to cope with this. But after about sort of 10 minutes, that early fizz just died out and Southampton sat back. They sat on the edge of the penalty area, and Arsenal couldn't really break them down. In midfield, you had Thomas Partey playing at right back, and I thought Thomas Partey did very, very well. I thought he played well at right back, but he wasn't really getting on the overlap. You obviously had Declan Rice and Jorginho both playing, and they just didn't. Southampton were relatively comfortable, I thought, in that first half. I thought if anyone was going to break him open, it might be Jorginho. Produced one lovely little pass for Kai Havertz that nearly threatened to open up. Didn't quite happen. And yeah, Arsenal went in level at half-time, and I think Aaron Ramsdale had to wait to about the 42nd minute to make his first save, a Thomas Partey shot, which he saved. That was Arsenal's only shot on target, I think, in that first half. And you thought they were going to have to come out in the second half and do things very, very differently, but it didn't really happen. And then Southampton went and got themselves in front on a breakaway. Sterling went down. He wanted a free kick. It wasn't given. Southampton broke forward. Cameron Archer had come on as a substitute. Good finish from Cameron Archer, bent it into the far corner, 1-0 down before the hour mark. And you're like, well, this is going to be an uphill struggle for Arsenal now. To their credit, it was a really good fight back from Arsenal. BOY SAKA, obviously the star of the show, which we'll get to when I do my player ratings. He set up Kai Havertz for the equaliser. Superb finish from Kai Havertz, who was excellent again. Loved that finish from him. Real sort of thought I thought he really came alive, Kai Havertz, especially after the Arsenal had gone behind as well. He really looked to drive the team on, I thought, and that finish, it had a lot of... So he was determined to get the team back into the game, I thought. And the finish, it wasn't the type of finish you always see with Kai Havertz, really putting his foot through it, you know, really decisive. It was a lovely finish, in off the post, gave Aaron Ramsdale no chance. And that was obviously really important for Arsenal to get that equaliser so soon after going behind. It just stopped it becoming a really, really nervy game here, and there's still plenty of time for Arsenal to push on and get the winner. And they did obviously go on and do that. BOY SAKA setting up Gabriel Martinelli, who came on in the second half. So did Trossard. Those changes made all the difference. Brilliant ball from Saka. That sort of ball from the right, which we see him do time after time, floating it to the back post. You remember Leandro Trossard's goal at Stamford Bridge last season. Very, very similar to that. And there was Gabriel Martinelli coming in, scoring. Did survive a quite lengthy VAR check. It was tight, but he was just about onside. And to Southampton's credit, they threatened an equaliser at times when they went forward. I think they hit the bar from a set piece, but then Arsenal got the goal. BOY SAKA, the goal he deserved finishing things off late on. Trossard had gone through, the ball broke Saka, lovely finish with his right foot into the bottom corner, and it's a deserved win for Arsenal, no doubt about it. 3-1 was probably just about right. I haven't seen what Mikel's had to say yet in his press conference. If I finish this in time, I'll pop down and see what he's got to say. But it'll be interesting what he does say about making the changes and the players who came in. I'm sure that's going to be a talking point going forward. I've seen a lot of people already talking about Gabriel Jesus' form, and it is I can understand why it's a talking point. But Gabriel Jesus is going to be an important player for Arsenal this season. He needs some minutes to try and find confidence. Look at what Gabriel Martinelli's done now. All the talk was about Gabriel Martinelli not long ago, about him searching for form. And now, look, he scored in back-to-back games in the Premier League. He's starring. He looked really dangerous when he came on today. It doesn't take much for players to find some form. So I know there's going to be a lot of talk about Jesus and Sterling potentially in the next couple of days. But, all it takes is one game and things can turn around for these players. So all in all, it's been a good day's work for Arsenal. They've got the points they needed. They've continued their unbeaten start to the season. They go into the international break right there at the top of the table with Liverpool and Manchester City. And that's all you can really ask for. I'm looking actually, Jurrien Timber's out on the pitch at the moment, having a look at him. Looks okay. Didn't start today. Wasn't part of the squad, obviously, but he looks all right, sort of wandering around down there, which is quite a positive side. No Ben White, he was in the stands today. The camera zoomed in on him at one point. Hopefully those two will both be back after the international break. Right, let's do some player ratings now, shall we? Okay, David Raya in goal. Could do nothing with a goal. Didn't really have much else to do, I've got to say, certainly in terms of saving shots. Gave him 6 out of 10. Thomas Partey, I thought Thomas Partey did a good job at right back. Had one shot deflected wide in the second half. Didn't ever really get on the overlap, which I think Saka missed that, having someone really constantly going on the overlap. But that probably wasn't really what Partey was tasked to do, as playing in this makeshift right back role. But I thought he did it very, very well. So I gave him 7 out of 10. The rest of the defenders I all gave 6. Saliba, Gabriel, and Calafiori. I thought Saliba maybe could have gone and shut down Archer a little bit quicker for the goal. Maybe could have engaged him one-on-one rather than letting him get into the penalty area and get the shot away. Other than that, they were Southampton threatened on occasion, but I thought Gabriel and Saliba were relatively untroubled. Calafiori was a typical sort of all-action performance from Calafiori. There was bits that you really, really liked. There was other bits when he got beaten a bit too easily that put himself under some pressure. It's what we've seen from him so far. So I gave Saliba, Gabriel and Calafiori all 6 out of 10. Midfield, Jorginho, like I said, in the first half, I thought he was probably the most likely. If anyone was going to break open that Southampton defence, it was going to be Jorginho. Gave him 6 out of 10. Declan Rice, I gave 7 out of 10. Made some good runs into the box, into the final third. Didn't stop working. Even in those last sort of 5-10 minutes, you could see he was constantly getting all over the pitch. I don't know where he gets his energy levels from, Declan Rice. I gave him 7 out of 10. Havertz, 8 out of 10. I thought Havertz was great again. As I said, Saka's going to get a lot of the headlines, or all of the headlines, and deservedly so. But I did think Havertz at 1-1, at 1-0, you just saw he just looked determined to bring Arsenal back into the game, and the finish was a great finish. And I just thought it was a good all-round performance from Havertz playing in that midfield role today. Gave him 8 out of 10. In attack, Saka, 9 out of 10. There's an argument for him to get 10 out of 10. 1 goal, 2 assists, turn the game on its head in that second half. So consistent, just always delivers. But I gave him a 9. Jesus and Sterling, I've both given 5. Jesus just looks like a player desperately searching for form, for confidence, for fitness. Sterling, obviously, it's early days for him at Arsenal. I'm certainly not going to write any player off after just a couple of months at the club. Look what happened with Kai Havertz last season. So definitely not going to do that. But he certainly looks some way off it at the moment in terms of Gabriel Martinelli, for example, who came on, and the substitutes no doubt made a big difference in the game. Martinelli, I gave 8 out of 10. He did exactly what Arteta would have asked him to do when he sent him on there with half an hour to go. Obviously got the second goal, stretched the game, always looked a threat on the counter-attack, just injected real energy when was needed. So I gave him 8 out of 10. Trossard immediately added just extra quality and his touch, his movement, it just immediately looked more of a threat than Jesus. He was involved in the third goal for Bukayo Saka. Marino came on as well, decent run out for him. Thought he looked sharper than he did in midweek when he came on against PSG. Was up in the final third quite a lot. Marino, gave him 6 out of 10. There was late appearances for Tomiyasu and Kivior. Good to see Tomiyasu back, of course. Arteta, why? I gave him 6 out of 10, Arteta. The changes, he obviously made the decision to make the changes. I'm not going to criticise him for that, because I do feel like at some point these players do need to play, as I said at the start. And home to Southampton, if you're going to make changes, that's probably one of the games to do it. It didn't work, and so he'll have to hold his hands up for that, I imagine. But he did make the changes relatively early in the second half, made the triple change with half an hour to go, and Martinelli obviously came on and got himself the second goal. And so, yeah, gave him 6 out of 10, Mikel Arteta, for that one. Interesting to see what he's got to say now downstairs in the press conference, which I'm going to run down to in a minute. Right, that's it from me here at the Emirates Stadium, everyone. Thank you very much for watching and for listening. I'll be back in the morning to do a much more in-depth reaction show. You guys want to get involved in that, you know what to do. Get down into the comments. Leave your comments. I'll pull some of them together. Your opinions on the game, who impressed you, who didn't, what you thought of how Mikel Arteta handled the lineup today. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'll pull some of them together and get them included in the show. But here at the Emirates, it's finished Arsenal 3, Southampton 1. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday, everyone. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.